here? Did you guys get recipes, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think all of you have been here before. So thank you for joining us tonight at the cooking class. We usually do this once a month, the last Tuesday of every month, hopefully, as long as there's a holiday not in the way. So we've kind of been on vacation for a while. 2 years, almost to the day. Our last class was, I looked it up, February 25th of 2020 was the very last one that we got to meet at. So we're back, and it's a little different, so please bear with our friendly separation and not the tables and stuff like that. And of course, if you're here in person, I have recipes printed off, and I have samples that you're welcome to go get this sample. They're labeled over there, and eat it here in your chair as we talk about it. If you're not comfortable with that, you can take that weight and take them home. And we have baggies that you can carry them home in, like a takeout place. So it's up to you guys. It's up to your preference. But that way it's a little different, and we're not sharing as much with each other. So tonight is cauliflower. And I am excited about cauliflower. It's not necessarily everybody's favorite. I don't know if it's on your top 5 favorites. Like if someone said, hey, what's your 5 favorite vegetables? Would cauliflower be one of them? Mine would. I love it. Actually, I love every vegetable. I don't think there's a vegetable that I could bear without. I just eat them all. So tonight, I'm going to show you here the 3 different colors of cauliflower. You have the white, which is very traditional. Everybody eats it. This is the traditional one that you would see in every market and place. Even people grow this one more than the others in their garden. So there also is the purple one, which I think is very pretty in raw color. It looks a little darker when you actually bake it, and it turns like a deep purple, almost black. But it's gorgeous. And then this is the orange one. So in tonight, if you're here with us live, you are going to have samples, each of these in the 3 recipes. So you will figure out which one you like the most. Honestly, when I snack on them raw, I can't really tell a difference. It's just the color. I don't know the rhyme or reason. I probably should have looked into it more to share with you guys more about that, but I didn't take the time. I just knew that I wanted to have all the different colors. So the 3 recipes that we're going to cover tonight is, which is perfect for tonight. And if you are cold here, because our weather here, wherever you are online, here in Heppner, if you looked us up on Google, it's very cold. It's like, who knows the temperature out there? Like
16.
16 degrees. Oh.
Going to 7.
It's freezing. This morning when I left my house, it was 7 degrees when I had to get outside of my house, and so it's cold. So tonight, there is a recipe that I found that's called creamy roasted cauliflower chowder. So this cauliflower is awesome, and you get a strong cauliflower taste because you're roasting it actually before you're like putting it in your soup pot. You're making it work. Ooh, it is hot. One more ingredient for later. So with cauliflower, we're just going to, I'm going to show you a little bit. What are the ways that you like to cook cauliflower? Anybody, a particular way you like to cook cauliflower?
Steam it.
You like to steam it? Steaming is good. I like that too.
Or raw with a dip.
So growing up as a kid, my family, I would say I probably lived with a bland cooking. If my family's watching, I love you, but we did. We had traditional bland cooking is what I called it. Not much seasoning, and everything went into a pot and just boiled the heck out of it. And as I've grown older and learning with nutrition and food, it's not necessarily good to boil the heck out of it. Like, you're boiling all the healthy nutrients. You're like sending them away in the water, and then you drain it and you flush the nutrients down. So don't try to kill your food every time. So one good way to roast, some people take the cauliflower and they will pluck, whoop, I'm going to make a mess. I'm not known to be the neatest person in the kitchen. They'll take the little florets and they'll break them apart and they'll put them on the pan to roast that way. So you can do it that way, but you also can make it into a steak. And you just slice it about a 1/2 inch thick and try to keep it together. Don't get crazy with your knife because unfortunately you will have pieces, as you can tell, that do fall apart. And I'm going to take my board down here. Take my mess with me. So you can either roast them in the oven or roast them in the skillet. I have a griddle here tonight. And usually I'm kind of just showing you the aspect of it. But before I do it, I usually get a bowl, and I'll put the cauliflower in a bowl, and I'll toss it with a seasoning or a rub or spices to make it yummy, because I feel you should not eat food if it's not yummy. Like, hence my cooking page, delightfully yummy. It has to be good. Like, if it touches my lips and it's not good, it's not worth keeping. And that was one thing that, as my husband and I decided to go plant-based, we said, well, one, we have kids, and if they're going to eat it, it needs to taste good. It needs to look good. It needs to taste good. It needs to be yummy. And we don't want to eat anything that tastes like cardboard either. So I have always learned to cook with flavors, add flavors to it. And you have a recipe in your stack tonight that calls for, and I'll probably pronounce this wrong, I pronounce it harasa. I'm not sure if that's the right pronunciation. I am honestly not the best grammar person. So I made that recipe, and with that recipe, I'm gonna give you.
Thank you.
With that recipe, I tried it, and it was very spicy. And I've always promised you guys here at class in the past, I'm not going to give you much spice because there's a world of spice out there. And you can either like spice or you don't like spice, and there's a million ways. So I try to do mild spice here to none. And you can add your spice at home if you want to these recipes. That roasted recipe, we are actually we'll jump to that later, but that one, you roast that cauliflower just like this, and you mix it with that seasoning and you roast it, and oh my goodness. I am not a spicy person, but my family is, and I made it, and they absolutely loved it. So if you like spice, try that recipe with all the recipe, how it is, and you'll probably like the spice.
Is that just a regular powder spice?
Yeah,
or
so
is it...
find it.
This is the challenging part. That's another thing for here locally. I know people online, you can probably shop anywhere. But with these classes here locally, I have tried to make sure my recipes are stuff you guys can get here. And this was a very challenging one to get. So when I researched it online. It comes in a jar that's like made up into a sauce or a paste. I couldn't find it anywhere. Anywhere here. Nowhere here. But I was in the Tri-Cities and I was shopping and I found it as a seasoning, a dry seasoning. And I went online. So if you want to take note on this, I took basically 1 part seasoning, 1 part olive oil, and 1 part water. So I made my own my own paste, my own rub type of thing. And I mixed that all up just in a bowl with a whisk. And then I tossed my cauliflower into that and I tossed it and coated it, and then I put it on my pan. I love using parchment paper. I don't know if the rest of you do. I try to cook with as little oil as possible. And so I've noticed if I use parchment paper, I don't have to use as much oil. Things don't stick to my trays. You can also use the silicone liners that they have now too. So this was at Safeway in the Tri-Cities.
What is it similar to?
So it has chili pepper, paprika, coriander, cumin, garlic, onion. This one I thought was interesting. It has spearmint, which is kind of like oh, that's in there. And then, yeah, that's it. So it's kind of earthy. It's not hot, but see, I'm a mild texture girl. If I'm shopping for salsa or anything, I grab mild. I don't grab other stuff, I grab mild. And so I will say my mouth was a little bit festive when I ate that dish, and I would like walk away from it. I had a small bowl like this, and I would eat a few bites, and I was like, whoo, and set it down, I'd walk away, I'd come back, and I'd take more because it was good. But I thought it was spicy. Eric was like, it is right on. And yeah, they all liked it. So that spice is going to be in another recipe. But back to the roasting. It's very easy to roast things. I'm just going to leave these here. I'm going to flip these on the griddle. The griddle is like a barbecue. You would just, if I had a sauce here, I would have dipped it and put it in here. And I probably should have, because you guys would love the smell of that probably. So I apologize, but you'll have to try it on your own. Go for it. But we'll just leave those warming there because I'll probably eat them for tomorrow for lunch. So the chowder, after you roast your cauliflower in your chowder, you basically saute the veggies in your pan, throw the cauliflower in there, follow the recipe, and it is delicious. Like, I wish this camera, for all of you live people, was like a scratch and sniff screen. Like, if I could show you the smell. Because, oh my goodness, this is a soup a chowder soup, whatever you want to call it. It fills me up, but it tastes good and it smells good. So, I use, as other people in my class, if you've been here before, I will have told you that I test all these recipes. All these recipes are tested. I do not pass it on to you if I think it tastes terrible. So I taste test it on my family. I feel my family is the most pickiest. I now have teenagers in the house, and I have a grandbaby who is now eating food. And they were visiting this last weekend, and we had this. I decided to have the chowder for dinner, and they were like, "Mom, it's cauliflower." And I was like, "He's one, it doesn't matter." So I put it in his little bowl, put the little suction bowl on his high chair, and he ate this like none other, and his crackers, and he was happy. So if a 1-year-old likes this, I think all of you guys will too. I hope you will. It's really good. And it is over on the table. Like I said, if you guys want to eat in your chairs, feel free. Utensils are over there. If not, you can take it home and heat it up. But it is delicious. Oh, I did not tell you. See, here is me bad. So on this recipe, I did add to it. I've cooked it like 3 times. Did I tell you if I added anything? I don't think I did. Okay. So, mental note. I took, when I had it in my pan, I sprinkled, I didn't measure, sorry. I know you guys are going to be mad at me. I sprinkled turmeric on top, and I just stirred it in. And I did take and put about a tablespoon of cumin. So I added those 2 to this recipe because when I first made it, it was good, but I wanted a little bit more pizzazz. And turmeric is so healthy for us. It has a lot of benefits. And I thought, what can I do to make this a little bit healthier? And I was like, we're going to add a dash of turmeric. And turmeric also helps with that pretty yellow color. So, and with this one,
That's the chowder?
this is the chowder. With this one, we used the orange cauliflower. So in your chowder, you will have the orange cauliflower. When you eat it, note that that will be the orange one. So have you guys ever heard of superfoods, like referred to, like there's superfoods out there?
Yes.
Cauliflower is a superfood. Did you know that? It's pretty cool. I like my superfoods. Just gonna move those aside.
Are all 3 colors of cauliflower available in the
So
area?
they, so I like to shop locally, especially for our class. I like to benefit our local merchants as much as possible. I do some shopping up in Hermiston and the Tri-Cities, but I went over to James in our local little grocery store, and he actually ordered in the purple and the orange. He said it's always available, but people haven't always necessarily bought it. I think they shy away from the color, which you shouldn't. Don't shy away from it. It's gorgeous. Eat it. And so he ordered it in, and it is available over there at the store right now because he ordered more than what I needed. So it is an option here locally in Hefner, yes.
Does it have extra nutrients because of the color, or
See,
it's just?
I mentioned that earlier. I forgot to look into that.
Oh.
I'm not positive, so shame on me.
That's okay.
I would think it might, but
It must,
it's
especially the purple one, that's
there's a lot of it is. It's
Like
just it's full
red
of
onion,
beauty.
has those different flavonoids in it.
Yeah,
Well, and
it
water.
probably does increase it, but it is a superfood. Any whichever color,
Okay.
it's a superfood. So going into a little bit of the nutrition on the superfood aspect, I'm gonna have to refer to my notes because I don't have it totally. So in 1 head of your daily value of cauliflower, just this guy right here, you get 50% of potassium for your daily value. Another thing that this beautiful head has is protein. There's 11 grams of protein for you in a cauliflower. And people, when I am plant-based vegetarian, they're like, where do you get your protein? Where do you get your fiber? I'm like, I get it from my veggies. So this cauliflower has 48% of the daily value that you need in fiber alone, which is just amazing. And to go into the vitamins and stuff like that, you have vitamin C. It's packed. I know a lot of people will think, I don't have it here, but an orange. You think, people go, well, what do you get vitamin C in? People think orange is citrus. This is packed full of vitamin C. So you don't think that, but it's in there. It's hiding in there for us. It has iron. It is really strong on vitamin B6, magnesium, vitamin K, vitamin D, and calcium. So with all of those nutrients, it's amazing. It is fully rich for you to be having a help to your body. And I have different notes about how it would help later, but I might share some of those later. So to the next one, because I don't want to keep you here all night, cold and you do have to drive home, is I'm going to move to the coconut curry cauliflower rice with pistachios. I don't know if anybody has a nut allergy, so this does have nuts in it. Beware. So on this one, Denise over at the welcome table that greeted you when you came in, she helped me prep this recipe for you to take home, and she did several trial runs, has it mastered completely, and we were talking about it. So the best way to make cauliflower into like a cauliflower rice is to have a food processor. If not, you need to do a lot of chopping. You need to like chopping, and you need to like chopping small. Some people don't like chopping small. So you have, it calls for, I'm gonna chop this up last. But this is cilantro, and several of these recipes do have cilantro in tonight, so hopefully you like cilantro too. Usually I try to not do so much with cilantro because I know some people don't like it. They either think it tastes like soap or they love it. So there's a mix. Now up here I forgot to bring the jalapeno pepper. So in your sample that you get to taste tonight, there is a little bit of jalapeno to it. You can, like I said at home, you can widen how much jalapeno you use. You can dump the whole jalapenos in there. Go for it. We had tried it earlier at a potluck, and it was gorgeous green. And everybody that walked by it, you can eat it just by itself, you know, or something else. And someone had brought tortilla chips. And I tell you what, I could have had chips and this, because it was almost like a dip. It was really good, but very healthy. So I'm going to not put the jalapeno, I don't have jalapeno in here, but we're going to chop up this cauliflower. So if you need to chop up a cauliflower, I take the base off and the leaves, obviously. Now I will save these. If I want to make a broth, I will save all of my veggie stuff. So for instance, I'm not chopping any onions up here. Don't want to make you guys cry tonight. But even like your onion peels, all of this stuff, even this stuff, you can put in a stock pot and put it with some water and make a vegetable broth, and it's really good. And then you can put it in the freezer.
How long do you collect your veggies that go into your stock pot? I mean, can you put them in the refrigerator?
You can actually put them in the freezer or the fridge in like a Ziploc bag and store them. And when you're ready to have time to make the broth, pull them out and put them in the pot with water. Yeah, you can keep them a little bit of time. So obviously with a food processor, I'm spoiled. I've had a food processor in my life for a while. This is my second food processor. My girls just got me this one, and I'm still getting used to it. As you can tell, it's still shiny. It won't be shiny in future classes, I'm sure. So you just pulse it. And this one does it all on its own. And this here, some people will take and cut the core out. Well, they call it the core, the inner piece. I left it in there. It's healthy. There's nothing wrong with it. You can cut it up and steam it with your cauliflower if you're cooking it just to steam. Sometimes it can be a little bit chewier, but overall it still has all the nutrients and it's good for you. So we're going to put this on. And so if you're used to a food processor, when I say pulse, it means you don't turn it on and leave it running to make it into liquid. You would, if you had the pulse button, you have to push it down and let it go and release and let it go and release. This one does it on its own for me. It's like a little computer. I love it. pulse that, let it do its thing, and then after that's all pulsed up, so it's taking the cauliflower and making it into cauliflower rice, basically, very small. Think of rice, small bits and pieces. And so if you were to open it and feel like it's too big, we'll do it one more time. So just do it until you feel like it's small enough that you like it, like you like that texture. There's no science to it. Just do it until however you like it. There is a science to not letting it work if the lid doesn't work. Let's try to get this on. Sharp grapes. So we're going to do, if I had the jalapeno, I'd put the jalapeno in here with it and let these mince up. And then I'm going to do the other ingredients and mix it together. Because a food processor is only so big. And as you can tell, the head of the cauliflower took most of the room. So we're going, this is pretty. I love pretty. Food needs to be pretty, guys. Needs to be like to the eye. So, if I don't make a mess, I'm gonna dump this into a bowl. Hopefully I have room. And food processors, please watch the blades. Do not cut yourself. I actually did yesterday. They are very sharp. Be very careful with all of our fun cooking utensils. So I'm going to put that back together. And then I'm going to take this pistachios. And the girls put these in my cute little containers for me. We have the onion powder, the garlic powder, the salt. And with this one, I didn't add anything because as Denise made it, it was really good. Like, I think it doesn't need to have anything extra, except if you want to do the spice, regulate your spice. So this might be a little loud with the nuts because nuts are harder. Give them time. With a knife, I'm using it all night. We're going to do another round on that one. As small as what I want. So while that's doing that, I'm going to move down here. This is couscous. Have any of you eaten couscous before? Yeah? So if you haven't and you're with us online, it's a very small, it looks like a grain, but it's like a pasta out of wheat. And so this recipe, instead of cooking it on the stove like a rice, you bring the boiled water, you do water, you boil it, you bring it to the bowl, and you're just going to let that sit. So it's going to sit for a little while and absorb the heat so you don't have to have it on the stove. And we will come back to add more to that later. And I'm going to do this another time. Nuts can be challenging. And I'm going to come back with these. Any questions so far?
This kind of reminds me of
The what?
the
mixer?
Flour and then you cut up nuts and
Yeah.
chop up nuts and
It.
put in it, but I'm sure it's got its own flavor.
How many times did you pulse your nuts?
It took a little while.
Yeah. I'm gonna do it. Oh my goodness.
It smells good.
Oh. Wow. Oh my. Oh. People, you got to love the smell of food. in all of my life, I have always loved food. Probably too much. As you can see, I'm curved. God bless me. But, oh, that smells amazing when you open that up. Almost better than the corn chowder. Wow. Spices will do that. They just add that blessing of taste.
It says coconut butter. Did you add that?
So we did not add it. Denise didn't add it either. So for me being plant-based and personally, my personal lifestyle, I try to cook with almost no oil. I try to limit my butters, any of the fats that is harder for your body to digest and likes to hold on to. So this is probably, not all of this is.
So the coconut butter.
Some of this is big.
The coconut butter would make it stick together?
Probably
or
more,
what?
yeah,
What's-
it would.
What are you giving up by not adding it?
So by not adding it, to me it sticks fine. It's a little grainier,
Yeah,
loose.
it's a little-
It's a little
It's a
looser.
little loose and dry. I suppose if you have that,
But
it would stick together a
it
little
would-
bit
it
more.
would be
for
like a-
chip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, they said coconut butter, which is different than coconut oil
Yeah,
or
it
milk,
is.
and I wasn't sure where to get it either.
Oh.
I use coconut oil and I use coconut milk in some recipes, but I've never seen coconut butter before.
I wonder what olive oil would be like. I mean, you know.
Try it.
You
Mix
can
just
try
a little
it,
bit
yeah.
to make it
Yeah.
stick
It
together.
doesn't take much. The
Right.
recipe calls for 1 to 2 tablespoons. So.
You could certainly add a little bit, mix it in.
Yeah. So here I am making a mess because I didn't bring a big enough bowl, but I had a bigger head of cauliflower. So you can use this as and as the title says, this is not cooked, this is raw. And raw food, if you're studying into nutrients, the raw food has the most nutrients. You have everything the way it is. The heat, the cooking, your different elements of adding things to it is not taking your nutrients away. You're getting the freshest nutrients that you have. So this cauliflower here is going to be more nutrient based than the cooked one because you've cooked some of the nutrients down, some have depleted out of it, versus this just being fresh and crunchy. Very crunchy, but yummy. So, that is
That's
is
it?
that one. Yeah,
That's it?
and you're gonna have to come up and smell this whenever, at the end of class or something. Just feel free to come and smell because, oh, it's so yummy. Don't know where my words went. Could you take this to they were supposed to come and wash it because I need it back.
Yeah.
Thank you. So the next last one, no rhyme or reason of how I'm sharing these, is the Harassa roasted cauliflower couscous. So I took, and I'm going to show you, I'm taking this recipe. So the one you get to eat tonight is going to be this turmeric. You have a recipe for turmeric roasted cauliflower. That is the one that we made tonight to serve with your couscous. I don't have it. I shared a picture on Facebook of the Harassa one. I made it into steaks, but then I also had the florets that fell apart, so I did both. And I took the couscous when it was done, and I laid it on a plate, kind of like a bed, and I put the cauliflower steak on top of it, and it looked gorgeous. Like, I was like, wow, I almost didn't want to touch it. Like, I was like, so I did take a picture, and I shared it on Facebook. And it was just gorgeous how it just plated. I just thought, wow, that's really cool. But tonight, we decided to roast them this way. So you have, in your box is gonna have the couscous, but then it's gonna have the cauliflower florets on top. Just because it's easier to eat that way than to have to sit there and cut it. But that's how you're gonna see it in your box. And it is going to be with the purple one, so it's a little dark, don't be afraid. It is still cauliflower, I promise. So, and on these, I didn't change much either. So I really liked how they tasted, the turmeric one. Here again, I added turmeric to the chowder. And when I found the turmeric roasted cauliflower, I was excited about that because of all the nutrients and the healthiness of turmeric that adds to a superfood. Like, you can't go wrong. So we're gonna play with my, I don't know if I can get it right there. We're gonna play with this again. I use a food processor a lot in the kitchen. I know in my other classes, I'm a gadget girl. And I will probably, if you stick with class, I will show you gadget upon gadget upon gadget. And you're like, where did you get that? Why do you have that? I love my gadgets. But this one helps with speed and accuracy in cutting. I can't cut fine like that. So we are going to do the couscous in this. And it's very easy. So I've already showed you this with the boiled water, and it just sits there. And you're gonna fluff it like with a fork, like you would do rice. Very simple. And while your cauliflower is roasting in the oven, and while that is creating itself in the bowl to be fluffed, you're gonna come to your food processor and you're gonna mix up I referred to it the other night as like a pesto because I feel it's like a pesto. If you've made a homemade pesto before. This recipe does have a lot of oil. I know I just talked about I don't eat oil. I try not to eat oil. And if I do, I only try to stick to olive oil and coconut oil. But this one takes oil, but it definitely coats the grain, and it tastes better that way. So this one has, again, cilantro, parsley, and fresh chives. So I know a lot of people have asked me before, well, can I substitute it with dry? It would take a lot of dry, and I feel it doesn't taste as well. So when you're making like a pesto, you really want to go fresh. And nowadays, in all the supermarkets, you find a lot of fresh stuff, whether it's in the little packages or bundles like this. So I'm just gonna give this a little bit of a coarse chop before I shove it in there. And we're just gonna add everything to it all at one time. Now, I do take the stems off to a point because sometimes when you're making a pesto, the stems are a little bit tougher to eat and they don't cut up as nice. They don't look as nice in the presentation of it. And I feel that eating our food, one, it has to taste good, but before you even taste it, you're gonna look at it, and if it doesn't pass inspection of your eyes and your nose, like those did for me, it's not gonna pass inspection of your mouth. You're gonna not be pleased. So everything has to be unison because God gave us the eyes, nose, and mouth all work together. So we're just gonna chop these. Another way, and I didn't bring it tonight, I forgot it at home, so I'm chopping these. But I have scissors in my kitchen. Don't know if any of you guys have scissors, but I'll sit there and I'll take my chives and I'll cut them with my scissors. And it's an easy way to get them in there. So we have the then you can get lemon juice in the bottle. I am picky and old-fashioned. I like to juice my lemons. So this is fresh. I feel like you have a nicer taste with the fresh lemon, plus you're getting all the fresh nutrients in the lemon. And then here's the oil. And we're just gonna whiz this, let it do its job. Because the leaves, I want the leaves to get really, really chopped up fine. I don't want it to look like a salad. You want it to look like a pesto. So sometimes with cilantro and parsley, you're going to have it come up onto your food processor. Please don't stick your fingers in there, sharp blades. Take your spatula, be safe, and push it down, and then let it whiz around again, just to help. I smelled that. I love smelling. Oh, you guys need to scratch and sniff on the cameras. It's amazing. And then we are going to put this in with here. So I'm going to start, this has gotten to where it's soft and tender and ready. So I'm going to fluff it so it's not all stiff. And make it look really pretty. Looks so pretty. And then we're going to take this is yummy. So yummy. And so pretty. I love green. This is perfect for St. Pat's right now. Like, serve this for St. Patrick's Day. I'm just going to try to get as much out as I can with my spoon. And get all those out of the way. Don't mind my mess. Sometimes I feel like if you haven't made a mess in your kitchen, you haven't cooked. Just saying. It's really fun. And of course, like tonight, like I've said in all of my past cooking classes, all of these recipes, I want you to think outside the box. That's kind of like my running slogan. I'm not ever going to make probably a recipe that is like a common recipe. I try to find things uniquely different so you don't get in that rut, so you don't get bored with something. And if you're trying something new, if you've never tried cauliflower before, I want you to enjoy it. And so I'm not just going to sit up here and steam it and be like, okay, here it is. It has to be added with something. And when you take a superfood and you add it with other super nutrients too, you just get an amazing bonus. And there it is.
That's very pretty.
Very bright and pretty. And you can smell the lemon. Like, wow. So those are our recipes for tonight. I hope you benefit from them. I hope you enjoy them. And if you're online watching, I would love to share the links to where I got these recipes from. They're not my personal ones. I was blessed by other people creating them for us, and I will share them with you. And thank you for joining us online, and have a good night.